What's up guys, my name is Olivia Player and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the 50 honorable mentions albums or mixtapes of 2021. 2021 has been a pretty crazy year, but sometimes it has been painful for a lot of us. I recently lost my grandfather a while ago, but and it was, I think it was his time because he was suffering too much. Uh, Rest in peace to my grandfather. But I hope that 2022 will be a little bit better than this one. This one was a little bit better than last year. You know, last year was terrible. So we're going through it. We're going through it. Anyways, we're here to talk about this 50 honorable mention albums or mixtapes of 2021, starting with Chomped 2 by Russ. I think Russ did a great album this year. And a lot of people overhate Russ because they think he's boring, but I think he has talent. He gets kind of corny and repetitive sometimes, but I see the potential when it comes to Russ. I promise you guys, if you haven't checked this album, check it out. If you don't like it, it's cool. I respect anybody's opinion about Russ and his music and this album. But I think Chomp 2 was a great album. Russ wasn't playing on this one. He definitely has talent and potential on his music. I definitely see it. And next up, we got Nobody Is Listening by Zayn. This album came out earlier this year, and I believe that I didn't like it too much, but listening it to a few more times, I think that this album is great. Zayn did a quality album and did a great job to it. He has a great singing voice. I really love the potential that he has on his music. And some people may disagree with me, but that's okay. Opinions are opinions, and you can speak out whenever you want. But for me, I think Zayn did a really great job with this album. There's no songs that that are really bad. I think there are some okay songs on here, but overall, this was a great album. Next up, we got Sour by Olivia Rodrigo. Olivia, inspired by Taylor Swift and a lot of artists, and I think this is a great first album for her. She has a great singing voice, and a lot of songs on here that gets me in my heart, and I feel her. I feel her in this album, and when I say that she's a badass girl, I mean she is. Like, she doesn't care what the guy says, and it just and she just moves on to whatever he's doing. So that's that, and I actually relate to her in this album, and I personally like this album. I still listen to it till this day, and Olivia Rodrigo deserves the population that she's getting right now. Shout out to her for this album. Next up, we got Justice by Justin Bieber. Now, I know people are going to say, what? Justice? This was a bland album. This was trash. I personally liked it. Ever since I heard Anyone, I think Justin was going to get a little comeback from his first album, Changes, right? Changes, I still like that album, even though because it grew on me. But Justice, it definitely was a really great album. I agree with the MLK interlude. It was kind of tasteless. I could have done without that interlude, but overall the album itself was really good. I personally enjoyed it. You guys might not, but I definitely enjoyed this album. Um, I love the R&B and little hip hop sound on this one, because there are features on here that are really good. I think the the best feature would be Giveon on this one, because Giveon has been on a roll lately, and I but anyway, Justin Bieber did his thing on this album this year. Shout out to him. Next up, we got Solar Power by Lord. Now, I know people are going to say, how could you like Solar Power? It all sounds the same. I personally enjoyed it. Um, it's not her best album. Unlike her first masterpieces that she dropped. Um, I love. I actually like this album. It might not be her best. I don't think the hate for this album deserves to be hated at all. If that made any sense, but I personally enjoyed this album. Lord has been MIA ever since. Oh man, I forgot how many years it was, but it's been a while since I've heard Lord, and I really think that she came back with a pretty good album. Not as great as her last two, but I personally enjoyed this album. Shout out to her for coming back. Next up, we got Tyron by Slow Tie. Now, Slow Tie, I personally think that he has great energy and great bars in his music, and I really enjoyed the whole album. And there are some songs that I could do without, but uh, actually no, no, not really. Uh, Slow Tie literally went in on this album, and I was like, why didn't I react to this? I had enough time to react to it, and I guess I was just too lazy. I had time that once, but I was too lazy. Um, but yeah, Slow Tie went in on this album and dropped a great one this year. I think that this is one of his best albums, and I think this is that Slow Tie is really talented till this day, and I think he doesn't get too much recognition. And he definitely deserves recognition right now. A lot of UK artists don't get the recognition they deserve, because um, like these boys, Pet Shop Boys, they're electronic gods, and I love their music to death. But yeah, a lot of people don't check out UK artists anymore. Uh, mm, so yeah, if you haven't checked this album out, check it out. I recommend it to you. Shout out to Slow Tie for this album. Next up, we got Montero by Low Nazix. Lil Nas X has been a little bit of a hit or miss sometimes, but I think he has potential in his music. I think he has talent. His music videos can be really funny too, like um, and he, and a lot of people gave Lil Nas X a little bit of cancel culture because of the video of "Call Me by Your Name." It was the song. Um, Even though I still love that song. But the best song on here is "Industry Baby," and it's not even that hard of a song, but it's catchy. Like, and I feel like Lil Nas X dropped a really great album, and I think this is at his best right now, and and I feel like these songs did not get old when I listened to them at all. Like, I really enjoyed this album. Shout out to Lil Nas X. Respect to him and everything. I love the music, and I hope he keeps going. Next up, we got Pink Planet by Pink Sweats. This is a new R&B artist that I heard this year, and I actually love uh, this album. This album was full of vibes. This album, the instrumentals were great. The instrumentals were great. I love his voice. I had no problem with his voice. And when it's slowed down, oh my goodness. Yeah, this is the kind of R&B I love to hear. To hear. Sorry. And Pink Planet um, demonstrates how talented Pink Sweats is, and I think he deserves the recognition. If you haven't checked this album out, what are you doing? If you want some vibes, here you go. Pink Sweats is for you. Next up, shout out to Pink Sweats for you, for this. And next up, we got Sincerely Control by Young Boy Never Broke Again, NBA Young Boy. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Young Boy, but this isn't really his best album, of course. I think this was the label's job to drop this album. Um, I think this was it had some bops and it had some misses, but more bangers. I think NBA has a really great voice, and I personally think that they should stop hating on him. He has talent. He definitely has talent. He knows how to rap. He knows how to sing. And when it comes to his melodic stuff, he says some real things on there. His last album with Birdman, I didn't like it that much, but this demonstrates how much talent NBA has. Shout out to NBA. He's been freed from jail because he got arrested. He was in jail this year. Uh, Next up, we got 42 by Cech. Out of all the reggaeton artists in the industry, Cech has been doing his thing, and I think Cech um has a great voice, and some of the music can be questionable, but I personally enjoyed Cech a lot on this album, and I think that this is one of his best albums yet, and I think that I think that this was a little bit better than his last one, and Sech has been killing the game ever since he started. Out of anyone I know in the reggaeton industry. Shout out to Sech on this album. Next up, we got The Life of Pierre 5 by Pierre Bourne. Pierre Bourne is one of my favorite producers that I personally enjoy him with his melodic stuff and everything. And Pierre Bourne is definitely a better producer than an artist, but I can't say that this album was good. Uh, I can't say that this album was bad. What the heck? What am I saying now? My brain is all over the place. But yeah, The Life of Pierre 5 demonstrates that this is about the vibe. Playboy Cardi had a really short verse on this one, uh, but overall, this album was really great. Sorry if you hear the dogs bark. Um, Pierre did an amazing job on this album. A shout out to him for this. It's a really great vibe. Next up, we got Dr. Evil and Rich Shooter by Young Nudie. Now, Dr. Evil is probably the Halloween inspired album, and the song with 21 Savage demonstrates that this is a scary, Chucky, or Halloween kind of album, and I think that this is Young Nudie. It's still Young Nudie till at his best. Um, a lot of people don't like Young Nudie, but I personally like Young Nudie. Checking out his music that right now is demonstrating that he is pretty fire, and I think that with 21 Savage, he does a really great job with his features, and I think Young Nudie still has a way to go with his music. With Rich Shooter, I think that this is pretty much energetic, um, great instrumentals and and great flow and nothing lyrical, and that's with a lot of trap artists. I love how energetic they are and how much they put in their music, and I think that Nudie shows that with both of these albums. Shout out to Young Nudie for these albums. This is easily these are easily great albums for me. Next up, we got Something for the Hotties by Megan Thee Stallion. Now, Megan Thee Stallion has been killing the game ever since she started. If I still remember her songs Freak Nasty, Bitch. Her flow, I think she shouldn't change her flow. Uh, Thought shit. It demonstrates that even though a lot of people don't like Megan Thee Stallion, this is they don't like her music, but with the situation with Tory Lanez, it's been pretty different because they're attacking her. But I'm not biased with this situation. I used to be biased last year, but nah, not anymore. Something for the hotties. I think that this was Megan doing her best with everything. She definitely knows how to flow, and she's been killing it. The freestyles on here, perfect. I love you, Megan. Don't forget that, Megan. Step on me, step on me. I need you to step on me with your freaking heels right now. Next up, we got Bobby Tarantino 3 by Logic. This was a pretty fun experience, but I wouldn't say this is Logic's best album, of course. But I personally enjoyed it, of course. A lot of people are going to say, why is Logic on here with Bobby Tarantino 3? It is pretty disappointing. I don't mind. I don't mind this album at all. Under Pressure was his best album since The Most Incredible True Story, of course. But I think that with the Bobby Tarantino mixtapes, I personally enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed the vibe. There's only one or two songs on here that I don't like, but overall, this was a pretty enjoyable mixtape or album. I mean, next up we got Too Loyal for My Own Good by Heady One. Give Heady One some credit on this album. Like, I I recently checked out. Well, not recently. Uh, a few months ago, I checked out his last album before this one, and he obviously he killed it. Stop sleeping on Heady One. He can do a drill beat type of song. He he definitely knows how to flow. Oh my goodness. He says a lot of real things on this album that I can relate to, and give Heady One some credit. If you haven't checked this album out, I recommend it to you for sure, for sure. Um, uh, uh, like I said, a lot of UK artists don't get the credit they deserve right now. Next up, we got Collapsed in Sunbeams by Arlo Parks. Arlo Parks recently got started at, making albums. And I think that she deserves some recognition too. But she's getting some recognition at least. And this album demonstrates that she is a vibey R&B artist, and I love her voice. I love everything about this album. I I, I feel like this is a step up already for her getting started, and and I'm hoping to hear more about her. Shout out to Arlo Parks for her. Um, Next up, we got From the West Side with Love 3 by Dom Kennedy. Yeah. And Dom Kennedy, give this man credit. And he can rap, he can say a lot of real stuff, and he works with Big Sean. Um, I think that Dom Kennedy doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. He definitely says a lot of real things in this one, and I personally think that Dom Kennedy mm, is an underrated rapper right now, and he he definitely went in on this album, uh, going like saying a lot of real things, and I think that you should check out this album if you haven't heard it. This was an amazing album. Shout out to Don for this album. Next up, we got The Fraud Department by Jim Jones and Harry Fraud. Harry Fraud and Jim Jones. Wow. Uh, a classic collab over here. Like, I think that Harry Fraud with his instrumentals, I think he does a perfect job with this. And Jim Jones, oh my goodness, he goes in. Hell yeah. Uh, I see nobody talking about this album, and I think I think you guys should check it out. This was a great album for me personally, and Jim Jones, incredible, definitely. Uh, you guys should check it. You guys should check it out. Uh, Next up, we got Final Volume 1 by Enrique Iglesias. Enrique Iglesias hasn't dropped an album ever since. And I forgot how many years it has been since I've heard from Enrique Iglesias. And I think he has pretty good voice, um, unlike some other artists on the reggaeton industry. And and I definitely think that um, people should give credit to him on this album, because this album was pretty vibey. This was uh, a really danceable kind of album or mixtape. I don't know, and and I think Enrique Iglesias has been killing that ever since he started. I'm just saying. So I think the Spanish people should check this album out. If you want to check it out, that I'm fine with that. I think that this is pretty great, and I think it deserves some credit. Next up, we got the I don't know how to say the oh yeah, the Hotels by Jasmine Sullivan. Now, Jasmine Sullivan gives some credit to this woman. Actually, she has been getting credit because of this album, and I think that this was a really great album to listen to, chill with. This is and this is me with a lot of R&B music, and I love the messages on here. I love everything about this, and it's great. Literally everything about this album was so great. It's a really great album. Sorry to take long about the word. Um, I definitely think that this is I think this is Jasmine at her best. Not really, but an amazing album. Definitely. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I definitely recommend it to you. Next up, we got Poster Girl by Zara Larson. Zara Larson, uh, wow, this was definitely a great album. And I think pop music hasn't been getting too much credit, um, and and I definitely think that this is a great this is a great album for Zara. A big step up from her last one on 2017, and I definitely think that this is her best album yet. And give this girl give this girl credit. She has a great voice. The features on here, I have no problems with it, and Zara kills it on this whole album. It's a really great album. I think you guys should check it out if you're a fan of of these years pop music and everything. So yeah, I definitely recommend it to you. Next up we got Niratias by Shovel, or Neradius. Niratias? What the freak? I recently got into metal music, and I definitely think that this album was pretty good. Most of these mainstream metal artists are not really good, but I think that Shovel did a great job with this one. I love the vocalist voice. He definitely does a great job, and I love the the energy on this whole album. Great, great. Shout out to my friend who who recommended me this band and recommended me to listen to this album. This was great. I love the energy. I love everything about this album. It's definitely a great one. Neurodius, yeah. If you want some energetic or a great metal voice, this is definitely for you. Next up, we got Voyage by Abba. I definitely think that they did a great job at returning with this album uh, after years of not being together, and the oh my goodness, the freaking instrumentals on here really good, and I definitely love how much how much they they did on this album, and I definitely love the voices. Jeez, the voices didn't even change since the 70s and 80s. Excuse me. And I think that ABBA should keep going with the music, and I'm really looking forward to see what's next for them because I really miss their music. And well, I only heard ABBA since in the early 2000s, like 2004 or 5. I don't remember, but yeah, definitely a great a comeback for ABBA for sure. Next up, we got Planet Her by Doja Cat. Now, Doja Cat has been doing her thing since she started. I think she has a really great voice. I think she raps really well. She definitely has talent. She definitely has talent. I definitely see the potential in her music. Um, definitely, definitely one of the best albums that Doja Cat has done. Um, Hot Pink is definitely an improvement for her music, and I think that was the time where she started to blow up and and grow. I see the growth on this album. I love the song with The Weeknd, SZA, "Kiss Me More," and definitely, even with the extended version of "You're Right," definitely great. Doja Cat killed it on this album. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But if I mean, a lot of people checked it out, of course, and I think it's a great album. Um, and nonetheless, fire, fire for me personally. You guys might feel different. Next up, we got "Untreated Trauma" by Mozzie. Mozzie killed it with. Uh, uh, I'd give credit to Mozzie. Mozzie has not been getting the credit he deserves with his music. I think he has talent, he has flow, he has uh, real lyrics in there. Um, have you all heard the song with Eminem and Polo G and Skylar Grey? He kills it on there. And give some credit to Mozzie. Like, if you haven't checked out his music, check it out. If you haven't checked out this album, check it out. I think he is improving more and more when he gets into when he gets in the music. Um, I think he's a great trap artist and well a rapper. I think he's a great rapper, and I think you guys should give credit and check him out. Next up, we got "A Gangsta's Pain" by Moneybagg Yo. Moneybagg Yo hasn't really been getting credit either, and Moneybagg um has a real great flow, and nobody has a flow like him. He I think he has a pretty decent voice, and I definitely think he he does some great trap music. I really like Moneybagg Yo. Moneybagg Yo has really been killing it ever since he started, and I think that this is I I'd say that this is not his best album, but definitely definitely an enjoyable one. I loved it from start to finish, and I think that he went in on this album. Shout out to Moneybagg Yo. Next up, we got "Punk" by Young Thug. I know a lot of people are going to say punk. Why punk? Well, I definitely enjoy the vibe of this whole album, and I love the instrumentals. I love the features. Um, well, almost all the features, because the only one I disliked is the Doja Cat one, because she sounded like she was just doing trying to do a Coi Leray type of verse, but I really didn't like it. Coi Leray is not good, so I don't know what Doja Cat was doing on that song. But yeah, overall, despite the Doja Cat, the song with Doja Cat, I um I think and the Juice World one, I think Juice World killed it on that one, but the mix on that song was bad. But overall, this album was a great vibe to listen to, and I think that Young Thug's music is something special when it comes to him. I really like what he does with his voice, and this is one of the reasons why Young Thug is one of my favorite trap artists till this day. And his last album, So Much Fun, demonstrates that he has that potential with his music, and I definitely enjoyed this album from almost from start to finish. Shout out to Young Thug, Thugger. Next up, we got Richer Than I Ever Been by Rose Bose Rose. All right, enough about that. Rick Ross went in this album and spit fire every time. I definitely think that they should give Ross his flowers. Like, this is definitely Ross. This is definitely Rick Ross, who we know and love, and I've been following Ross a long time since I've heard uh, um, him with Meek Mill, Drake, and who else? Oh my gosh, there's so many artists he was with, he collabed with, and I think Rick Ross went into this in this album, and uh, I don't think his music gets old at all. Ross is definitely one of the most underrated, one of the most underrated rappers out there. Just give him his flowers. I definitely think he's a great he's a great rapper, and he says a lot of real things, and I definitely like the features on here too. No problems with this album at all. Next up, we got In Due Time and My Time featuring DJ Drama by Lakia. Now, I'm going to talk about In Due Time first. Lakia, I think I recently knew about her this year, and since the Double XL uh, freestyle and the ciphers, I definitely think that this girl has potential on his on her music. Jesus Christ. And Lakia is like at my age, but she's older than me. I definitely think she's a beautiful girl too. Like, oh my goodness, I love Lakia. I love her flow. She definitely knows how to flow. Um, she says a lot of real stuff. She definitely has a great voice, and whenever it comes to her, oh yeah, I love when she goes into the R&B style and she sings. Like, it's so she's talented. This girl is talented. Um, my time. Now with My Time with DJ Drama, I think the features were perfect on here. Um, the the production fit well for her. She was flowing on this album, and she was definitely giving that energetic, freaking type of album. Oh my goodness! If you haven't checked out Lakia's music, go check it out. I swear to you, you'll love it. If you're a fan of hip hop and you don't discredit female rappers, This is definitely an album for you, for sure, for sure. Lakia, I love you. Step on me with your big ass heels and just and just rap rap about how you beat me up. No, just kidding. That didn't even make any sense anyway. Next up, we got 333 by Tanashi. And now, Tanashi, um, uh, I think I think Tanashi has been really great with her music. I definitely think that people discredit her with her music right now, because uh, they think that she sounds the same. But I definitely think that Tanashi is definitely a talented R&B singer, and I think she deserves some credit. I think the instrumentals on here was great. Um, and Tanashi was killing it with her voice. God, um, I I think that this is a really great album. I definitely think that it's not really her best, but I think that this is a great album by Tanashi. I really like it, and I think I think you guys should check it out. Shout out to Tanashi for this album. And next up, we got Heat of the Moment by Tank. I definitely love the instrumentals on this album. Jesus Christ, the the vibe with the vibes on her voice. Oh my goodness! Wow, I love her voice. I love her voice, and I think that she definitely deserves recognition. I definitely think that she's a talented uh, vocalist. Oh my goodness. It's something that the female R&B artists are definitely uh, uh, one of the most has one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard, and I definitely give credit to ever almost every one of them. And Tank is definitely uh, uh, an artist who I recently knew about this year, and I just checked out her music, and god damn, it's so beautiful. Uh, she killed it on this album. Definitely worth to listen to. I definitely recommend it to you if you want some vibes. Definitely recommend it to you. Next up, we got "To Hell with It" by Pink Panthers. I think that Pink Panthers definitely killed it on this album. Like, I love the instrumentals. I love her voice. Oh my goodness, this is definitely a really beautiful album. No lie. I think that she deserves the recognition, um, and I think that this is a great start for Pink Panthers too. Like, it's so good. Um, and it might be a little bit too short, but here's the thing with these albums. There's some short albums, and they deserve some deluxes, but I don't think deluxe is really necessary at this point because it's already past the year, and but overall this album was really amazing. Next up, we got Drunken Words, Sober Thoughts by Seven Streeter. I'm on a roll with these R&B artists now. Wow, Seven Streeter is definitely one of the artists who I knew about as well, and I checked out her music. Damn, I love the vibes on this one. I definitely think that um, this was really great with the instrumentals. Her voice, oh my goodness, I love the freaking vibes on this one. I think that this is definitely uh, uh, one of the best R&B albums, of course. But there are a lot of R&B albums this year that mm, that a lot of people didn't listen to, but I definitely listened to this one, and goddamn, it's so beautiful. I needed SZA to drop an album, like, but I'm sure she's taking her time with it. But overall, these female R&B artists have been killing it. Seven Streeter, shout out to her for this album. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Next up, we got Hate Love by Anne Marie. Um, I definitely think Anne Marie has potential with her music, and the feature with Chris Brown shows that her voice is just something special. And the instrumentals on here, the it's a great album. I really love the vibe of it, and she says a lot of real things on here. Whenever you get your heart broken and everything, oh man, yeah, this is definitely great. Um, Hate Love, Anne Marie. Shout out to her for this album. Next up, we got Introspection, reimagined by Yumi. I love Yumi. I recently got into her music, and this is definitely a vibe. This is definitely a vibe of an album, and I definitely think that Yumi deserves some uh, recognition now that she's getting started. Yumi uh, a really great voice. Mm, the vibes on this one, oh my goodness! It's a great album. I can't explain a lot whenever it comes to these albums, because these albums are great. I can't explain, uh, mm, and Yumi has potential in her voice, and it definitely worth to listen to. She has a really beautiful voice, and the music on this album, the songs, what the heck, the songs are beautiful. If you haven't checked that out, check it out right now. Next up, we got Bittersweet by Amaria. Morning vibes. Morning vibes. This is morning vibes right here. And I definitely listen to this album whenever it comes to the morning, whenever I wake up. Definitely. I actually think that needs some credit, or recognition, not credit, recognition. And definitely a beautiful album. It's really short too, but definitely worth to listen to. Like, I have no problems with this one. It's definitely a great and beautiful album to listen to. Next up, we got two albums by Big Crit. A Style Not Quite Free and Better This Way. Now, a style uh, a style not quite free, definitely not her not her not his not Big Crit's best um mixtape, but definitely a worth to listen to. I never saw anybody giving credit to Big Crit um with this mixtape, and I think he deserves credit right now, because he definitely kills it. But it's really not his best mixtape. I still enjoyed it though. Uh, Big Crit, shout out to Big Crit for this, and Better This Way, not really his best album either. All right, sorry guys, I had to I had to um pause the video right here, because I definitely my mom was calling me to talk to my grandma, and I definitely had to pause the video right here. Sorry. So I was talking about the album by Big Crit, Better This Way, right? Better This Way, I think that it's not really his best album, but it's or mixtape, right? And but definitely an enjoyable one. I see nobody giving credit to about this album. Excuse me. I I had a great breakfast this morning. Uh, but he definitely went in on both of these mixtapes and definitely worth to listen to. I think Bit Crit is definitely still one of the most talented rappers out there, and I think that I have no problems with this with both of these mixtapes. And if you haven't checked out Bit Crit with both of these mixtapes, I definitely recommend it to you. Recommend them to you. Sorry. So yeah, shout out to Big Crit for both of these albums or mixtapes. Jesus Christ. Next up, we got Use for Yourself by IDK. IDK is definitely one of those artists who I think are really great. Ever since he started, give IDK credit with this one. I think I think he did his best. It's not really his best album yet, but definitely a really listenable one. I love the features. I love the inspiration on this album. Definitely a really great listen. IDK went in on this album, and I think with his next album he should take his time, because I feel like this was a little bit rushed, but overall this album was great. This album was really something else. Really something else. Shout out to IDK for this album. Next up, we got Paper Route Illuminati by Young Dolph and Paper Route Empire. Rest in peace to Young Dolph. Rest in peace to Young Dolph. I was definitely saddened when they announced that he passed away. He got shot. They they didn't give Dolph the credit he deserved until right now. And right after he died. I was checking Young Dolph last year because my brother was listening to him, and I was like, "Who's this?" And he said, "Young Dolph." He has great energy, and I checked out his music, and the first track I listened to was R&B featuring Megan Thee Stallion. Because of Megan Thee Stallion, I knew about Young Dolph, and it's unfortunate how much I said to give credit to Dolph, but now that he died, they're checking his music out. Same with Juice, same with XXX Tentacion, same with Lil Peep. But rest in peace to Young Dolph. This album was great. Gucci Mane, who else? Key Glock. Everybody killed it on this album. Definitely a worth to listen to. Worth to listen to. Next up, we got another Young Dolph album, but with a collab with Key Glock, Dumb and Dumber 2. Now, this was the first Young Dolph album I heard this year, and well, he did 2 albums this year, with Key Glock and Paper Route Empire, but this one was definitely an energetic collab, of course, and ever since the first Dumb and Dumber, I definitely had my expectations with this one, and look where it landed. I love this album. This album is really energetic. I love the flow that both of these guys did. Whew, hell yes. My goodness. Both of these guys go hard whenever they're on a track together, and but rest in peace to Dolph. It died way too soon, and I think he was going to do more with his music over the years. So rest in peace to Young Dolph, and Key Glock. Please take care of yourself, brother. And uh, I know you're chasing the guy. I know you're going to chase after the guy who killed Dolph, but just take care of yourself, bro. Next up, we got Fighting Demons by Juice WRLD. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask me, why is this album on this list? It wasn't bad. Seriously, like, it wasn't bad. I just think, I just think that, I just think that, it was just not bad. Um, I think that they did justice for Juice WRLD on this album than they did with Pop Smoke, and what they did with Pop Smoke was just a cash grab. But this one, they definitely did a little bit of justice with this one. It wasn't too bad. I definitely think that there are some songs that I could do without on this album. I like the song with Polo G and Trippie Redd, Wonder to LA, Already Dead. A lot of these a lot of songs on here that hits hard on like in here, like in the freaking heart, and it's definitely a really heartfelt album, posthumous album. It's not the best posthumous album like Legends Never Die, but definitely worth to listen to. I definitely think that this was not too bad of a posthumous album, not at all. Rest in peace to Juice WRLD, died way too soon as well. Next up, we got Vince Staples with his self-titled album. Now, Vince Staples has been killing it since he started again, and a lot of people are not the biggest Vince Staples fan, but I definitely think that as a West Coast artist, he is really talented. I definitely, whenever it comes to Vince Staples, I definitely enjoy his discography. His discography is really experimental, and and a lot of his songs are really energetic, and I think that this is definitely a great return for Vince, and and since it's been a while since we've heard from Vince Staples, I think that this was a great return. A really experimental, experienced type of album, and it's really different than the other albums. I definitely think that this was really a great album. Next up, we got Lyrics to Go Volume 2 by Coda the Friend. Coda the Friend definitely deserves some recognition and credit. He has a type of flow that even Big Sean has, and but the lyrical content on this album was crazy enough to land on this list, and I definitely think that Coda the Friend is definitely killing it since he started. Give Coda the Friend listens, and I swear to you, you'll love them. You'll love his music. I promise you guys. I definitely think that you should check out Coda the Friend's discography. Definitely experiencing to listen to him. Next up, we got Playboy by Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez, I think, yeah, like I said, I was biased with the situation with Megan, him and Megan, but I think Tory Lane, listening to his music again, I think that Tory Lanez has talent. He's definitely talented. He can sing, he can rap. He definitely can sound anybody like Drake, Fetty Wap, or Meek Mill. He definitely uses their flow. He definitely uses their voices, um, and I think he sounds like himself on this one. And as an R&B album, I have no problems with it, and I think that this is a really chill album to listen to, and I think that this was worth to listen to ever since it released. Playboy is definitely a really chill vibe to listen to. I definitely recommend you guys to check out this album, hasn't listened to it. Really great album. Next up, we got Lately I Feel Everything by Willow Smith. Uh, this this is definitely an album that didn't get enough credit. I think that this is a great type of rock album. With I think it was Travis Barker, yeah. Willows. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Travis Barker. With the rock tracks, I definitely didn't have a problem with it, and I think that Willow deserves some credit with her music. Jesus Christ, and I definitely enjoy her music a lot, and with along with her brother Jaden Smith and Jaden and Willow has been killing it ever since. Willow had a great album this year, and I think that she deserves credit because of this album. Shout out to her for this album. Next up, we got Temporary Highs and In the Violet Skies by Snow Allegra. Snow Allegra, oh my goodness, I love her voice. I definitely don't really like the album cover, but the music was definitely there. I love the chill vibes. I love the song with Tyler the Creator. Man, this was so good. It's such a chill vibe. My goodness, I love this album. Uh, I definitely, I definitely think that Snow Allegra is a really beautiful human being. Um, and I love her voice. I love the instrumentals. I think the instrumentals fit well for her. Nothing, no complaints on this album. Seriously, like this is definitely uh, one of the best R&B albums I've heard this year, and if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. I promise you, if you don't like it, that's fine. If you find it boring, I totally get it. It's not your kind of music, but I definitely think this album was great, and no problems at all. Next up, we got Sobrock by John Mayer. Now, this is the first. This is probably the first time I've heard of John Mayer. I definitely think that this was. I definitely think that this is the first time I heard about John Mayer, and I definitely think that John Mayer killed it on this album. Um, and I'm not really going to complain at all. Um, this is the first time I've heard of John Mayer, and I actually love this album. Uh, it's really something else that I've never heard before, and and I definitely think that this was really uh, um an experienced type of album. Not going to lie, it's definitely up there in my top 50 best albums of the year list. But um but yeah, I have no words. It's a really experiencing album, and I definitely think that John Mayer uh, deserves credit because of this album. Shout out to him, by the way. Uh, Next up, we got. Sorry, I'm a little distracted on this list. We got Hoffa by Dave East and Harry Fraud. Like I said about Harry Fraud, the instrumentals work perfectly, and Dave East was spazzing on this whole album. Um, it, he definitely went in on this one, and I think that Dave East and Harry Fraud could uh, uh, work more on this on their. Jeez, I can't speak. I think Harry Fraud and Dave East could work more as a collab, and I think that this shows how much potential Dave East has with his music, and I definitely think that Harry Fraud deserves more credit with his music too. And I definitely think that both of these guys definitely did their thing with this album, and I think I think um I think they should keep going with what they're doing right now. My brain is not fully functioned, but we're at the last two. We got Sin City Mixtape by Ski Mask the Sun God. Man, I was waiting for this man to return for a while, and I think that Ski Mask definitely has that flow, unforgettable flow, and everything that he does with his music. Uh, Ever since his last album in 2018, I definitely miss this guy. He has been in features though. He has been in features, and he's been killing it. But we finally got a mixtape of Ski Mask, and I definitely enjoyed it. I love the energy he puts on his music. Uh, Ski Mask, thank goodness you're back. I'm still waiting for a full length album to come out, and I really hope that it's fire. I know Ski Mask can put out fire music a lot of times, and he can put out funny lines and everything. Yeah, I like that. Mm. Ever since X and Juice World died, it's been really tough for him. But shout out to him. He's been he's been keeping going with his music, and I'm really glad he's back. And the last one is Clouds, the mixtape by NF. I know people are going to say that this album doesn't deserve to be on this list because NF is kind of basic. I don't think he's basic. Nah. I think I give the man credit. He definitely has the talent and the flow and everything lyrical. I definitely think that NF has ha, uh, since he's inspired by Eminem. I definitely think that he he does a really great job with his music, and he says a lot of real things on this mixtape, and and I definitely enjoyed the Hobson feature. Uh, uh, a lot of things on this album. Like I had no problems with it. I love the instrumentals too. Like no problems with it at all. And I think that this is the this this mixtape is one of the reasons why I like NF's music. A lot of people don't give credit enough for NF, but uh, it definitely a really worth listen to. And that is the end of my top 50 honorable mentions of 2021, of album wise and mixtape wise. Y'all let me know what your honorable mention was in this video. Did you like the list? Was it an average list? Anyways, let me know down in the comments below if you didn't enjoy the some of these albums or mixtapes that were on my list. Let me know why. Uh, just do it. I respect anybody's opinion, and I reply to a lot of comments, so be aware of that. I'll see you guys next time. New Year is coming. It's coming. I hope you guys have a nice New Year's Eve and a great Happy New Year. I'll see you guys in the next one. Top 50 best albums of 2021 coming out soon. I'll see you guys next time. It's time for me to dip. Stay hot, guys.